So I'm here with a really nice guy, uh, Mr. Terry, and he was explaining to me about the 1847 Colt Walker uh, handgun, and he was explaining the history on it, which I thought was really great. So if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, Terry.
Well, the Colt Walker, before the Colt Walker, the only gun that Colt had going for himself was a 1836 Patterson revolver, which was a 5-shot 36 caliber. Uh, it didn't do too well because of the fact that it was a small gun. It was the first really usable revolver, and so he had that patented. He tried to get military contracts, couldn't get military contracts. There was really no wars going on. The Seminole, they were having Seminole wars in Florida, and Colt tried to sell the Army on the Patterson, didn't work. So he went bankrupt in 1842. Sold all his equipment, his factory, everything. Then at the beginning in 1847, when we were getting into the Mexican-American War, there was a guy named Samuel Walker.
This guy down here?
Yeah, that guy there, who was a Texas Ranger. And he had used the Patterson before. And one of his responsibilities for the U.S. Army was to ordnance to buy arms for the war. So he contacted Colt, and he asked Colt to help him design a gun. He gave him the specs. He wanted something with a lot of heft, where you run out of bullets, you can hit somebody with it. He wanted something that would stop a horse, and he wanted it 44 caliber, and he came up with the design of the Colt Walker, which is 4.5 pounds, massive gun.
Wow.
And now he didn't know that Colt was bankrupt, or Walker didn't know that. So he ordered 1,000 for the Army. Colt went to his friend Eli Whitney Jr., who had a factory in Whitneyville, Connecticut, which is right outside of Hartford. And he made these guns. He spec'd them. He had one person make the barrels, he had another person make the cylinders, and they were the first interchangeable parts on guns, where you can take a part off of one gun, put it on the other. So, but anyway, so he made these guns, and
It's beautiful.
they were used mainly in the Mexican-American War. They had a flaw, and the flaw was the metal wasn't strong enough for the amount of powder they held, and then a lot of guys would put too much powder in them, and so 30% of them blew up. And anyway, that's basically about it as far as the Walker goes.
So they could end up blowing themselves up.
Yeah, they blow their fingers off or something like that if they put too much powder in it. Or a lot of times they'd put the bullet in backwards because they had a conical shaped bullet, one of the bullets they used.
That's a horrible gun to get shot with.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
That's a pretty powerful.
But it was the gun that put Colt back in the business, and that's why nowadays if you have an original, this is a reproduction, if you have an original Colt Walker, they run you at least $1 million.
And that's the gun Clint Eastwood and
Dirty Harry? No, yeah, excuse me. Dirty Harry had the 44 Magnum, and the outlaw Josie Wales. He had a couple of Colt Walkers.
Thank you, Terry. That's a beautiful gun and part of American history.